My name is Beta Rock, and together we can change the world. You have an inalienable right that if you participate with Beta Rock Church, that you have an inalienable right. I'm repeating myself, didn't quite come out there. Getting my thoughts together, thinking about what to say. But have you been heard? So my mind develops in this whole thing, and the thing that has been here of late is just to say, email me, start the conversation. People are watching. Some people, like not many, are watching these after the fact, and any discussion of value, it just comes person to person. I continue to like, and don't imagine that I'll ever change. The idea of caring about the individual person, the lost sheep, leaving the 99 in a world that likes, and who doesn't? I want 32 million too. But I'm believing that it starts with the one. So the best thing to do, that if it prompts anything, let's talk. Beta at betarock.com. And as it grows, and I've definitely been to bigger churches, and that's when it just becomes really critical and very interesting to see how, my dream plays itself out. What is it like to be in a church where people care? Care. Platform is meant to provide daily opportunity to interact with God, with me, and then kind of feeding on what I was saying before to say just these words that I have written down, repeat each time I do this, that what can be done with one cannot be done with 2 or 10 or 100, but be the first to engage. And I've softened that and tried to talk into it, to try to talk to people that might think about saying something or whatever. I don't know. But be the first to engage, and probably the smoothest, most responsible way to do it is to email me. Let's work like that. So this is a text, John 3:8, the wind blows wherever it pleases, you hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. This then is my prayer. Lord, may I be your wind here now, in Jesus' name, amen. So we have in mind, or I have in mind, to go through the last little bit of, and I thought maybe this was going to go on forever, but I looked at my notes here and good, like it's almost done, because I have one kind of comment that I didn't talk about, the thoughts that I need about jail reflections. And then I have a list of relationships that happened in jail and people that I wouldn't mind talking to, or people that said distinctive things. So we'll see what happens. People in the jail. Well, you'll see. See what comes up. I just thought of another guy. Maybe I'll write his name. I might remember. CO. I liked him. I liked a couple of the COs. Joyce Meyer and how to handle I listened to her yesterday a little bit. Is that sinning? I'm not so into this right now, but I am. Just want to stay honest to just things, and that some of the things that I've been feeling today haven't left me feeling especially great. It's not that I'm like really depressed, but I just don't want to build pomp into these things when it's not there. So Lord, help there to be some energy and holy goodness despite me or whatever. Let's find something here, please, God, in Jesus' name. Joyce Meyer talked about, and it made me think of the verse, can you drink the cup as Peter, was it John, his mom came and said, can they sit by your right hand? And Jesus said, you don't understand what you're asking for there, lady. It's going to hurt. And Joyce Meyer, I know, said that a number of times, that when she really got serious about doing what she was doing, she lost a lot of her, if not maybe all her relationships. And that's what I think. Like, if it becomes 32 million and people are going to really like that, there's a scene that I think of here. I like the show This Is Us on NBC or Hulu. I guess it's NBC. Hulu plays. That's where I watch it. And like, what is it? The fourth generation in the show now. The blind boy. They showed a scene where he comes. It looked like the Grand Ole Opry, or that might have been where it was, where the spotlight, everything is great, and the crowd is cheering, and the fame is right there, and that's fun. Okay, so to sometime be in front of a podium and just to say that, my name is Beta Rock, and together we can change the world in that kind of a setting, to get legs to this idea. And then what it takes to do that. Like, do you want to go to jail? I mean, it's not that, it's just, I just think really when people are anointed into this, and whether Joyce Meyer is, I would love, that's why I started a Facebook group called Biblical Role of Women. I want to find a way to understand this. I liked what she had to say for years, and then I just got convicted about that. Look, women are not supposed to talk in church. It says this. And I even emailed her people, and they said she just does it. Like, she didn't really have a good way through it. One time she had said something, but it didn't stick. They're going to have to go through some verses there. But to the experience, that's how I feel. Would I pick that? Sovereign God is doing things. Have other people been in jail? Yeah. So I'm proud, like I said in the one I did earlier today, I'm proud to be in that club because this is distinctive. To be in jail is distinctive, to get stuff worked out. At one level, I was standing up for what was right, and that's true. Okay. Standing up against injustice, so that there were some sharp edges that needed to be rubbed off, and that's how it is. And even now to do this, I mean, I think maybe people are like, what? Wow, I don't know what anybody thinks. Nobody really talks to me about what I'm actually doing. Even my counselor gets paid money pushing it. We talk about things, and always some good inspired conversation, but right down to where the rubber hits the road of whether he'd be a member, that's where I'm pushing this. Like, I don't want patronized. I want to understand. And really, along with that, just to say, like, I like YouTube because it gives you suggestions. It can, knows what your watch history, and then suggests things. And Charles Stanley came up about satanic attacks, and that was nice. I don't necessarily, I don't know, but it was good for me to just be reminded. And so on my run, I listened to that. That's somewhere where my sadness sits, and it was encouraging because I do want things, and so it does put a measure of pressure. It's certainly not like it has been in my life, but I think, like, at least that it was good for me to just always stay attentive. Don't lose focus here. Don't give in to any pressure to waver off what you're doing. To the base message, it's going to be the base message that sells, not pump. Okay, look, dude, I got like a towel hanging, like a bath towel. And that's nicer than looking at the strange wall. And people do designs, and so that's me. But I'm not. This is low budget, not to the message. When I did Sollenberger accounting, I did a good job, kinda, of finally getting it into a half decent sized little business. But it was sandy land built, and in the end, I remember there were times where I just thought, look at all the effort, and I got here, and I learned things. It's hard to say that I learned things, definitely learned things. Did it have any, I don't know. I mean, you can't, I learned how to not do something or other, but scheduling and what value is going to come of that. So I can't say it was a total waste. Like the sins of the thing, did it have no value? No, it did. I believe so. We'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. But when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about even to talk about when the website people are their comments and talking and say that, like on the pictures, they said it needs to be personalized, things like this. Look, it is what it is. I'm not making it any more than it is. I want the message to sell. And if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, I don't know what time it becomes this time where I would stop, but I don't think it's going to get to that. But what I do know is that any pressure there is to build it on something other than these base good principles, that isn't changing. And to, the social side, it's still, I'm pressing through to just, but I'd like to have me some friends. Okay. Just saying. And I do, but I have higher expectations. The whole dynamic, how does that work and all this? There's a scientific and scholarly side, and then there's a human heart that just, dude, this is, kind of hurts. And so then that's when Charles Stanley's thing comes along, and that's just how I felt about the day. You know, not super down. Do I have to rate? I made myself a 10 on the emotional chart for the 8. Can you just take a time if you're watching, get to the 8, Google 8 dimensions of wellness. Samsha, SAMHSA, Sam Hasha. Okay, Sam HSA, 6 letters. 8 dimensions of wellness. And there's an article by Good Therapy that I'm using. In fact, I tried to print it, didn't work and it's not exactly, but the emotional side was that's one that I liked it because it said it had different factors like social, while we overlapping categories. So I was kind of trying to just say the main thing that I get out of it is that it's saying, how good are you at dealing with the bumps in emotion? So having a day like today, or just in general, you're going to be down and gloomy sometimes. Like, that's part of it. So the emotional strength of a 10 is not that you don't have those down times. It's how you deal with the down times and recover back to a happy place. Okay. And that's the way that I've actually learned to do some things. I didn't think, but because I thought about this, do I say into these? And I didn't really, and I even thought, I'm not going to get into that. It's my private, but here we are. But what I do is listen to Charles Stanley. And what I saw in one of the comments is that they said about his calming voice. Maybe I'll even try to pull it up by chance. It's still, I doubt if it'll be that lucky to, let's see. Maybe I can go to the history here. Let's try a little. You can see. Yeah, yeah, I did find it. I love this man. He is and with 2 O's, like not 7 O's, but I think that was on purpose. He is so calm with his words. And that strikes me because one other time I happened to notice the comments that people made about him. And one he joked in this one, because I listened to it today. He said that God cares about the offender too, or however he said it. And everybody in the church laughed at how it came out. Like, we have to remember that God cares about them too. And the comment person commented about that. And I was like, good. It's just fun to be able to be in an understanding. So much of what I deal with it feels like with conflict. But then when people, because he didn't explain, like, here's the time when you should feel, but when feelings are united, that is a very nice feeling. And so when this person here, you can identify with this man. I love this man. He is so calm. And that's what I fall asleep to him. And I think that that's a little bit what they're saying. That's probably exactly. He doesn't put me to sleep, but it's just calming. And I just love to kind of, the idea of bathing and just God in this. And I do listen. And sometimes I wake up in different dreams and things. And it does affect how I sleep. When YouTube shuts off after like 4 hours, maybe an automatic shut off at 3 or 4 hours. And I wake up or whatever. Anyway, jail, the relationship. So I talked there. That was the one kind of thing that didn't have to do with relationships. How hard this is. And she would say that, do you really want that? Well, because, I had to redesign my life and my job and things to really allow this to happen. And even in the future, I was thinking about unconditional love towards a person. I mean, they're not gonna. I mean, the likelihood of remarriage or any of that just seems so remote because I don't think the Bible allows it. Okay, for me, and it's just a dynamic that I really want to understand better than just having me agree. But the idea of unconditional love, which was preached into my head, to just be like, that's just not how this is going to go down anymore. And so, if the discussion ever starts and books start to get drafted, it's finally going to put this into the discussion that I would love it to be. Good for Charles Stanley to have, what is this, 8.9 thousand views of this facing, say, a satanic attack, and I get maybe 5 or 10 that are, but dude, we gotta. My name is Beta Rockin'. Together we can change the world. We gotta do this together. I can't do it myself. So, dear God, that's where some of my prayers of the last few times have been. Like, come on here, help, God, help. I'm patient. That doesn't mean it ain't a measure of discouragement. A little. I mean, I'm so expecting this. So, not really. Does that make sense? I mean, but I care. I care about the hurting and the whole dynamic, and I care about the people that I am related to now in friendship and connection. What? Tell me this. And so, what is going on here? You have this. I'm so sure, but then until it gets affirmed, it's still an assumption. Anyway, that's good, I guess. Trust in that wind. Relationships. I talked about these people already. There was this guy named Paul in Colorado, and he was kind of a jerk, but he liked cards. He comes to mind for some reason. Guy with knuckles. He had tattoos on his uncles, his knuckles, and he was going to from that county jail to some kind of maybe 2 or 3 5-year jail. He had a resolve. He had a plan. It must have been counseled, but he was ready. It didn't look like there was under it. I mean, that was like, oh my God, I would not want to do that. My roommate out there was another memorable guy, generally nice. I looked him up on Facebook. That's been how many years ago? Six, good while. And when I got out of jail that time, then I did go to Facebook and find him, and I did find him. And then I think I might have sent him a message that he never responded, and I didn't push it to the nth degree. But some of the stuff he had posted made me think this guy's. It was very limited, but it was also like this guy's got some problems. And I wrote down on my list here this guy with thick wrists. This was on the van, and I mentioned him before, but I'll go down quickly through this list if not, or I can't, But he had been extradited. I think he had been extradited before. Like, that's really something. And he, the first, it was he had somehow convinced the guards that he had the ankle. He didn't have handcuffs on. So, well, how did this happen? So, because he had somehow convinced the guards that he had like especially thick wrists and couldn't handle the which I guess they accommodated, but that they would have known. I don't know. But he did it so that he didn't have to have his hands in the handcuffs. And then he just talked from experience. Like, I couldn't. I couldn't imagine doing it twice. What is going on? Now, I went to jail twice, so it doesn't quite hold up the whole thinking process, but that was kind of. And then this other thing, book. What was this one? I don't know. Then there's a guy that I can't remember his name. Tall black guy. I wrote on my note here, Denzel, like for Denzel Washington. He said something really profound to me about friends, and everybody in jail more or less agreed and understood this, that the friends that you had and thought that they were, let's see if I can say what he said. Something about they like you like to do the things that you do together that you like. That's the bond. But it was just revealing, because when I looked back on the people that I would have thought were my friends, we did things together. Okay, like Super Bowls, parties and things, or this kind of stuff. Playing softball. What are other things that talk to each other? But for somebody to be a friend, in my view, now is somebody that sticks to principle. I mean, it's just even not about me to be appealing to like that. I'm not going there with this idea. I'm going to saying I'm on the rock of Jesus, and that's the only sure foundation. So we become united in that goal. When I got done with my run today, it was Sunday. I wasn't sure I was going to go run but there was like, I'm still resting, and I did rest. I mean, there's an obligation element, but I think it is good. I mean, that's how it felt. It's like, I'm not saying that I'm not even resting by running, but today it's just like my muscles need a rest, and that's what I kind of did. Okay, altogether fine. But the way these guys said it too, it was something that should be in the, when I think about, again, being the president and the cabinet and the Department of Education. And sometimes I see us all that some not that long ago, people were posting ideas about why don't we people say that. I've heard this more than once, and this is a stupid idea. But to learn how to balance your checkbook. Well, that's okay, that could be fine, but I think more deeper things like, look, the friends here, we really need to understand and define what a friend is. And then I don't know, but because I'm saying my answer to this is that Jesus is the binding place for every relationship. And so when I think about the desire to have a relationship, well, Charles Stanley and his satanic thing was like, that's what the devil's going to do, be it, material things. I'm not so compelled by material things. I mean, I'm not. But relationships, yeah. Okay. But that was what he was saying. He was essential, and that's not even right now. That's actually not the problem. But if I still compromise, I just think it's right that the call. So, like in school, the real call. Why do we have a theocracy or whatever words are describing a prophet Samuel, First Samuel 8 governmental system? Because that's the right thing. Okay. I mean, I am a fallen person. Everybody is. So to puff up me or to do things where I, particularly all by myself, have qualities of wonderfulness that people then want to have or share or whatever. Okay. I mean, Michael Jordan, when this is on again tonight, but that's what Charles Barkley was saying. He gets so used to because of the money and he has this, but was he really known? That's what's just so. But I just take out everything coming out of that show. Here he is, these 20 years later, and a little seems to, I don't know, a measure of, definitely a measure of, how could you be any more famous than him? I mean, but yet it just so seems so true that when Nike and they were creating a person that resembled him, but it wasn't him. Okay. So, but when we're on Jesus, and even in our lowest and most debased points, God is our strength. And I simply, even though right now my friendships are not where I want them to be, I can't possibly believe that I really, in my right mind, to not ask what somebody wants to make them happy. Yeah. But to stay true to this, I thought of a person today that's way older than me who had a family daughter didn't talk to her. And, just again, to be able to talk into those things, what happened there? And it gives us a base. Because I don't know, but it made me think, is it the same kind of a thing here? What happened here? Is there hypocrisy involved? Probably. So what can last for so long and then it doesn't? That's just some of the things. It's hard, but I have to stay to that because damn it, I'm tired of having relationships that never were there ever in my whole life. I mean, this is at least a hopeful opportunity to try this out. I mean, the Bible says this, so that's different. But look, I want to do it right. But then in jail, I mean, that's some of, again, how this just becomes kind of cemented from another angle where people in jail that are not motivated at all by Christian, thinking are still ending with the same divine insight, okay, that they just like to do stuff, shared interests. It was not about us as persons. And when he said it, the other guys that were listening all agreed. And I know how it struck me and how he had clearly thought about it before because he said it poetically somehow about that shared interest. And that's why I'd like to meet him. I do not think I probably wrote down his name on my jail papers. Maybe I'll make a note to try. Maybe this here note can be my reminder to try to track these guys down and give opportunity to talk to these guys. I don't know if probation might not let me talk to. I think I can talk to them. To try. I think. I have to think about that. I decided today too that going through the crosswalk, my sin. I decided it was sin. Okay. Why did this all come about? Like I was just like, well, some of the reasons. See, this is again. If I tell you what happened. So I just thought, okay, fine. If I come, I'm running, so I don't want to stop my running. So just go ahead and sin. No, the guy. So that's a new way. I mean, I just wouldn't come up but if you come up with some, that's what I just. I mean, it's sound. There's nothing within Beta Rock that's not sound. So this was unsound, but now it's sound because right, it's a sin too that'll send you to hell. I mean, when I say those words, but what I know is whether that makes sense from some kind of like practical or human or whatever standpoint, it if you give the devil a foothold into anything, how all I know is that train of thought will lead to there's no then boundaries. Anything can have an excuse. Then that eliminates sola biblical. Okay, soul bib Bible. If I'm gonna die and we get to the if I just evaporate into the thin air and or karma or any, I mean not that I can't control that, but I'm basing everything on this Bible. That's the way it is. I mean, and I think that's a sound base. I'm trusting that with all my heart. But again, I'm so committed to it that I will live like a darn near hobo, homeless with no friends and anything, to just not compromise on the truth, trusting that other people really, I mean, that's where some of the relationships of interest that I have sit because so likely they too have been compromised into a world's way of thinking that this for this and how does this, but I think that even though it might, I don't know because they're not talking. Okay, but I just know then it doesn't matter. What does matter is that I'm going to do the right thing. And I think then that can be the trusted base that leads to 32 million people. This is a lifestyle. Now, it hasn't been ever said that way, well, because all the pastors listened to Billy Graham and it got all effed up. Grace and different things got severely effed up into a culture. But when you step back and do what Beta Rock Church is saying to do, sola scripture, it's consistent. And we can learn together things like, okay, I'm just not going to sin. I'm just not going to sin. So that gives us this is what happened, and it is a principle. Okay, okay, just accept it and then look around. That might be just accept that you're not going to do it, and then literally look around. Like, don't eat the apple, Eve, and just look around. Look at all this other stuff. Don't be distracted by the sin. Don't try to think of some way to get over this. Look at the opportunities that sit right around. So I came to the stop sign, and I think I had thought about it, but I had thought about it even before I went on the run. And I came to the place. It was a red light. It was red, and I had 2 times on my run this happened. So I came to a place that it was going to sin to go through a place that didn't. Is this? I don't. Again, I kind of wish I could see people. I'm happy that I got to this place because I just couldn't put it together. It had me trying to think about whether civil law is, what's going on here. And if a tree falls in the middle of the night, nobody's here. My sin, like it makes no practical sense. But to the heart of things, I'm happy to just own. Then I cut off and didn't go through the actual, what do you call that? The white lines where you're supposed to walk. I can't think of the word. Crosswalk. I cut it off. So is that sin? Yes. Am I habitual? You know, see, I'm just saying, like, I don't want to laugh here. Okay. We can laugh, but it's only funny because the context of the world that we're in takes this so flippantly that we just live in a culture of grace that allows sin to happen. And that's what I'm saying has to be stopped and revisited. I mean, to hear, I would like, maybe I need to do that too. Email me some Ralph Yankee, where he literally was saying that he gets mean and that he looks at women all the time. A 50-some-year pastor with a doctor in front of his name. And I thought, I mean, come on here, Mr. Yankee. You are buying into this too and training other people to be twice the sons of hell. Can you just listen to what you're saying? And I would have been playing those same tapes in my head, but I'm on the other side of this because the pain and the reality of the situation was I'm fed up with this kind of thinking because, which I knew was wrong in the first place. Just don't do it. Don't think about these damn pastors that are telling you some kind of a way to get away with sin. It was just some of this. It's just like they're wrong. But to say that, it's just, it took some time. Okay. And then for me to be militant with my language now, bastard pastor. I love that. I mean, that certainly warms my soul to just say it so clearly. Because how horrible it is if they're sending people to hell. We need to be clear. I mean, come on, we got a rule book. And what it can be like to start for people to realize, like, this is not, life goes on and it's fine. Whatever better maybe. Like the one time I had decided how this was going to go because it was so you might say it's a legitimate thing. I didn't want to stop my run. So I'm like, okay, well then if I come to a place, then I'll just turn. Okay. So maybe I'll end up running a little shorter. Maybe I'll end up running a little longer. Not really. So that's the first thing that happened is that, well, both times that I turned and then I went. So it basically changed nothing about my run because I would turn anyway. So depending on which road I decided just in fun or whatever, that's how my run would go. So it didn't do anything to the actual length or time of the run. So there's no offense here. I just honored the rule. Okay. Like eat with the apple. Just don't eat the apple. No, over there's a banana. What fruit do what like give me some bubble gum taste, no, what is that? Cotton candy grapes. You think they had those in Eden? They're damn good. Really, they are better. I mean, I can't even believe that people come up with this. Now that is wow. They were good. They were better. I went to Walmart the other day and they did not have them. I don't think they did. I didn't really ask or look, but I mean, they were better. Are they worth paying any more money for? Maybe. I don't know. Double? I don't know what I paid. I don't know. It might have been double. But I know one thing, they were good, sweeter, and they did really taste like cotton candy. So again, you could have had apple, but that caused a lot of problems because not because of some kind of human way to think, because it's just the way God is. God is mean. That's the best way I think of it. It's just a mean reality. I mean, we can think, but just forget about that's again, just this whole polluted thinking. He's not loving, and that's just the best way I've kind of come around to this. It's not, and even other pastors, Charles Stanley did say that. He literally was talking the same kind of a thing. We know this. We know that God is wrathful, but we don't own it. Okay. So we don't go through the red light because sin is going to hurt because God is mean. He's not gracious like your mom or your dad to let you get away with everything. Okay. God is God. That was, again, some of the thought process that got me out of sin. So I went about my run and then I went to a crosswalk without any walk thing. So I went right on across. I guess, is there a rule there, like stop and look? I mean, I don't, really. Okay, but it was fine. No cars, went fine. Then on the way back, same thing. I came to a red light and I'd already been totally prepared. So boom, red, and I turned left. That didn't do anything really either. In fact, I thought, well, maybe this, I can see some new people because I went down a walking path and then I cut off the corner. So I sinned, but not perpetually. Okay. There is a math to this. Is this entertaining? I imagine that there's this enormous amount of interest into getting comfortable with me. I really don't know because I've never done it. I've just okay, that reminds me of another guy. So the Denzel Washington, are we good there? I mean, he said the thing about friends. And I believe absolutely there's no doubt about it. You cannot have 700 friends. I mean, you can have 700 people that you met an occasion here and there. Okay. But not definitely not somebody that's going to come and bail you out of jail or these kind of things or be with you or whatever. I mean, that's not possible. And I know how it evolved for me into all the fun of it and so I imagine this is just a shared thing. But what I want to find me is some 12 good friends. And this guy impacted that. I think that should be kind of a metric. Like when it gets down to it, we're going to talk about what does this look like, and I don't exactly know. I just know some things that it's not. 700 is not going to be. This is not going to be the way it is. It takes time to develop, to be mutual. It takes time. It's just like the Lordship call at the end. Life goes on. This is a weekly, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, we know this, but we don't put it into practice. With Facebook, you can literally do it. Like, I'm going to fire, if you got 700 friends, you got to fire 688 of them. Because we got to have a plan, because Beta Rock says that we should have 12 me some friends. Or maybe Facebook will start to accommodate, like, what's the relationship status? Well, you can't have 7 girlfriends, or, we need, right? So we got this pressure of being in one thing. Oh my God. I mean, the way I said it in my thing on Facebook earlier, I said, to go, and the fuck started to fly because, I mean, my God. So to put that kind of a pressure onto having a relationship, and if that lady and my kid is all surely thinking the same kind of a thing. Well, this isn't about accommodating into the effed up system that we have. We got to get down deep into changing the way that Facebook talks about it. And it interests me that Facebook is global. So again, this isn't an American phenomenon of 50 to 20%. This is a worldwide effed up system. Now, the fact of whether you agree with that, it's just, there's just no really even debate about this. How to implement it. I just got today something in the mail. The second time I got something in the mail, paper, the cost of this, about telling me that I have to fill out a form to get an online voting. No, wait, not online, or paper ballot. Why am I saying that? Because it doesn't do any good. This is not, we're not going to change the world by voting. That's one glip in notes. I just am kind of against democracy. I mean, I'm not against, I don't know. That's what I think. I don't know. But what I do know is that when people like me have some really good ideas, there needs to be an avenue to get them into place. And running for office is not doing it for me. I want to be the main guy to redo the system, because it's just not. It's worked for 200 years or whatever, but it's not effective. And I hear people and their cries hurt. And then I hear what people are saying about, well, we just have to learn to deal with it. Like, no, I do not want to learn to deal with injustice. I want to fix the places that are broken. And I know in some of the visions I have, I mean, I am confident to be the leader in this, but there's going to be lots of liberty to let people build their own thing. And then ultimately, let's say, think it through. If they break off and make their own thing, well, that's fine. I can't control that. but I want us to be, I want to be the leader, and I want to say it with some level of reality that to really do it, we're going to have to stay together. We're going to have to stay together. There's a power in the numbers in a democratic way. This ain't going to get won with me getting some kind of ammunition, like literal guns. I mean, besides the fact that that is wrong, but besides, like I'm not going to, that ain't going to be the way it's going to go, even if I would want to, which I don't. Anyway, there was a guy that I was thinking of. There is another guy. What was I thinking about? What do we got here? Chest stabbing. And he didn't stab him. But this one guy, this is another guy, just a story. Like, I love to play chess. And I'm intelligent, and people knew that. But I was not the best chess player in jail. In Franklin County, I was probably the best chess player. Not really. Okay. So people were pretty smart in jail, and they were good at chess, and that was fun for me to play chess. So let's also keep in mind that, well, this is what happened. You got what? 70 guys on the block, 40, a good number. So people, there's like two chess boards, and then one set has missing pieces, and then you see you deal with this. So it's not, again, this is not the Hilton. Okay, that we have chess is greatly appreciated. In fact, I one time cut out 2 times. I created a chessboard from scraps of paper, and it worked. I mean, this one friend of mine, he's not on my list. I do text him from time to time, and he's still kind of messed up. So he's a live and ongoing relationship. I was thinking about him a second. But this guy, he could beat me in chess. I mean, he was fast too. And so when I would play into that game, being as quick as him, that made me worse. But he accepted that I mean, because I knew that. So I just I'm not going to do this. I got to go a little slower than you. Okay. He beat me. I don't think I ever beat him. But then we got on a lockdown for 10 days. The first time it was like maybe, I mean, the way that, because it's the lady, there's a lady that would run the block kind of. She was in Franklin County. They're all organized and wonderful. I mean, they have like a Cracker Jack box. And I mean, I don't mean it negatively. I mean, you could, like at McDonald's, like I envision the Jetsons. You push a button and poop comes up a McDonald's. You poop, boop, there's a pop-up McDonald's. But it's all already organized and all this. That's what Franklin County, they have a model, and it's really, I mean, my hack. Good job. You guys really have something. So they have a CO on duty all the time. That's good. Not a Franklin County. Oh no. But then they did have a counselor she was probably, anyway. But when this 10-day lockdown, she was talking about it like it was unprecedented. And so I'm like, you got to be kidding me that this is what's happening. And that was the torture of all tortures of all tortures of all tortures. I mean, that was just absolutely horrendous. And eventually the COs just let us move around, and it became bearable. Okay. We would go and play chess in other people's rooms, and it was fine. Better. Okay. At least I was not literally dying. And then it happened again, and the second time that I was there. So I don't know. And then when I was there, then they put another block on a 2-week lockdown, something like this. Like, this is really cruel and unusual punishment. People were so, the minds of people were so really hurting, so it wasn't, they were just hurt. That's all it was. You just kick the dog and he's already dead. It didn't, what if they wanted to punish, it didn't do that. It was already taking a really hurting person and just, I guess it's what was happening. I mean, I was fighting for maintaining my sanity and really never lost it. Okay. But this guy came to mind because he was really nice. The guy that was good at chess. And then and what happened? You gotta be kidding me what is going on that we're locked down again? Anyway, he got into a fight over the chessboard with this guy and punched him And then the guy would try to tell, like, oh, I just fell in the shower, which they didn't believe. And so then it led to these troubles. Oh, and then I'm like, blankety blank and blank, and tried to do, what did I do? I tried to tell the guy, turn yourself in. They're not going to let us off, do the right thing so that we don't all have to suffer, which he never did listen to. So the guy, he was definitely not my friend. I mean, they didn't quite know what to do with me. They were just like, just let it go. You're just going to have to suffer. I'm like, God damn it. I mean, I don't mean to be cursing because that was a bad, but no, but my pleas didn't fell on deaf ears and we all just suffered. Then I transferred off the block. It was faster. I wasn't in Dauphin County that long a second time. Then I put in quotes the girl, and I forget all the different things I said. I don't think I ever talked about her, and so I say her because like I was upstairs in this part of the block, and all of a sudden the door, whenever the door opens in this like one of the worst part, a couple parts of Dauphin County that made it really just not good is that you were in a room that echoed. It was all cement block and big, and so everything was loud. Okay, and it's cold and it's kind of wet because the moisture of the shower and the hot water didn't really work, so they had to run it all the time. It was just unpleasant. So for some reason, maybe I was getting a shower. What was I doing? I don't remember why I was up there. And then in the room, so the rooms were also really spooky because they were hidden. So it was just not. I just did not like. I felt a lot more safe and comfortable in Franklin County. Like they had order, and so even though the order was a little restrictive, it was also safe, and I like that. You know. So in this time, so then I remember where I was standing up and I looked down because it echoes so much when they open this door and the door is really thick. So when it opens and shuts, and so because it's echoing, it only makes it 10 times louder. It's just amplified. So if anybody comes in and out, and they had this buzzer that releases like the magnetic thing, so we would know because so that meant somebody was electronically opening the door remotely. And then this lady comes in, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. Like everybody else maybe was looking too. That did not seem to disturb everybody, but I'm like, why is a girl on the block? I mean, I could understand that somehow, this is what I was trying to think. And what I was thinking is like, well, okay, so somehow she's here and quickly here somebody will get this straightened out. I mean, for her safety or whatever's happening. And I remember thinking, she's kind of pretty. Big black girl, so nice hair, full figured, but not Barbie, but like she's kind of pretty. Notice my words. She. Well, then I decided to go down and see what exactly is going on here. And my first observation of her was that she was scared. Scared. That's the truth. She was scared. And I forget what I said to her, like hello, or I don't know. But then I don't know if she needed something, but mainly what I remember from the whole experience was that she was just glad somebody was like kind of telling her, like helping, like she was a fish out of water and whatever, like scared. Like, so she really appreciated that somebody came up and was nice to just whatever. Like, okay. And then I'm still like, are you a girl? I didn't say that, but I don't remember when it became clear that it was a guy. Anyway, as the story continued along, I'm still not really sure that I even thought by then that it was. She became my bunkmate. And then we got to talk, and it was a relatively pleasant conversation. All of it. I liked her. She kind of qualifies as, how many different roommates did I have? 10? I don't know. Like then there was in Franklin County they have an open block, so that was then you had like 1, 2, 3, 4 people. different roommate, and then in Franklin County there, or Dauphin County, there was probably 8 in a thing. So I don't know. But in her case, that was, we were connected on the bunk, so it was more like a one-on-one roommates. How many of them I had? 4 or 5, I don't know. Probably more, but talked to her, got to know her, and anyway, the pretty hair, wig. Okay, so that made sense. Pretty because you paid for it. Okay, and how that thing must have itched. Oh, she was committed to being a girl. And her boobs, were $3,000 or $5,000. Well, they did a good job. Okay. And she had other different work done. I mean, but at the end of the day, I guess some of my feelings were that she knew that the gayness, I mean, it was all, I mean, we're in jail here, but, because she talked about, she wouldn't, one of the things she said is she wouldn't get married in church. Like, she knew that it was wrong. She didn't want to defile the holy. So it's very interesting to be guilty of, I think she felt guilty for what she had done. She's also a prostitute. That's why she was in jail. So that she was pretty, well, okay, that, I'm saying it was consistent. Really something. But she was very nice, very, very kind and nice, and had just different things that don't really matter beyond what I said. So that's my list. But then another guy, what do we got here? I'm about done. One guy that I met, he might have been my favorite. And when he came in, this was in Franklin County, maybe, I don't remember. I think that would have been the second time. Yes. Was it the second time? I don't know. It could have been, was it the second time? I think it was the first time. But he was somehow connected with people in Shippensburg that I could try to find him. I don't remember. I probably have his name written down too, and I forget it by now. But I would go back and forth with Dauphin County, and there was a certain amount of time. And when I came back, it was very nice to see him. He had become a bit of a best friend. And he's like, he said, I really appreciate seeing you too. Yeah. Okay. When we first came in, so we came in together and so he was in a cell and he was drunk. I think he was drunk. And I think that's, yeah. And for some strange reason, he got into a fight. So the first time that I would have interacted with him wasn't direct. He was over in a different cell, but he was yelling and fussing about something with his underwear. And I think his underwear were those kind of underwears like Jim Palmer would wear with or color rainbow, like tight. And something about, first of all, that's really weird to me that you would wear those in the first place. But somehow he felt like his rights were being violated by something that the CO did about his underwear. And then, like later in the time of our interaction, so then because he was like a loony bin, and I got into that block of the loony bins too, he was, I think we would see each other on our 1 hour time out of our cell. And, the drunkenness wore off. And then we did talk more. Like he had, that happened. I think his heart with God was pretty much in the right ballpark. Okay. Still kind of a little out there, maybe. But definitely opportunity for openness to getting things straight, which was happening before he went to jail. Well, that made sense to me too, because that's really what's happened here too. The violation, I mean, this is where sometimes when I pray into whether this kind of a testimony or this story can be something that people can learn from or to see and experience, or historians, or really I want the whole thing to, are you ready to take a step of lordship and a full surrender? When you really get into these places of life with this friend, and again, it's nothing's coming together like I wish it would to kind of be like, okay, there proves the thinking. But when you get stirred into this, like Joyce Meyer didn't go to jail, but she said that, when you decide to step into God, things really start to get all effed up in life. So he had elements of that too, because he was really meeting with this pastor. And the pastor was involved in some of them inside of the jail, but I think he was really sincerely hurting and getting help, seeking help, caring about God. That's good. So I figured one time after some period of time, and I said to him, "Do you remember that time that I first met and we met when you came into intake or whatever that is? Whenever you first come in, they put you in these cells so they get you kind of mapped out where you're going and all this. It takes not, it might take a half a day. Get your shot." And then he was still mad. So even in his right mind, something, and he was. I wish that'd be maybe the conversation I'd bring up with him. Like, tell me again what was going on that you were really violated. I mean, like what's you had me at hello? Isn't that what they say in Jerry Maguire? Like, you lost me with the underwear. Like, there's no turning back from that. I cannot see anything sane about your underwear. That, like, sorry, like, so I want to be open-minded, but I like the guy. And when I came back different times, he like because you get transported back, and when you ever get any commissary, it takes a significant amount of time until you get the commissary. So when you bop back and forth, I'm hungry for a week and a half, and he gave me a soup. He gave me medicine for a headache, different things. He was a friend I could turn to and helped. And I couldn't return the favor, but I did pay the guy $10. I told him I'm going to pay you and make this right. And so did he ever know that? Because I think I sent him a note, a letter, and maybe he was gone by then or whatever. But I do believe that he got my $10, and I don't believe that he would have known it was me. But I did make it right for karma. Okay. And I don't mean to say that so really. I mean, I want to be America's pastor here, but I wanted to make it right. I don't even think it. I don't think it has any eternal whatevers. But I wanted to honor my word. I don't know. It's just part of the story here. I paid him the $10. It was very difficult to communicate with people outside of jail when it's all done. Who else? There was this funny guy, Paul. We're going to be done. Let's be done. Maybe I'll try to take some time to write down some other names, and maybe we'll do another part, or maybe we'll be done. I don't know. Okay. I'm glad that it's done. I didn't want to do this 10 times and however many times we've done it. So I didn't get all hung up into because I got to talk with my hand. Every beta rock message, every beta rock interaction, at some level, I just want to be very crystal clear into that notion. The Pastor John, the single most important decision, the premier pastors that I've always thought from Billy Graham all the way through, they were focused on an agenda. We're not in church to check off boxes and with some certain amount of mentality, we're just going through and filling time. And so we're aimless. We need a vision. And that's the theory and silver tongue kind of strategy that I can control, not divine breathed. But to be divine breathed in the call here, this is it. Okay, so it's a combination of everything right about, again, why I got to do Beta Rock Church on my own and do it myself? Because nobody did it the way that it needs to be done. I don't even think John MacArthur does this. But the call is for us. Are you ready to take a step of lordship and a full surrender? And so this is just a story. Then how do I bridge the stories of jail into that call? And here I am kind of paused again because this got me upset that I wasn't going to do anything for self gratification or glory or any of this. Not that anybody watches, And I went to Joseph. And so when he's in jail and then you're hurting and the pains and different things, and people commonly are going to be hurting, God will discipline those he loves. And so somewhere in here is the idea, this is how it's coming out now, that the facade of Facebook, the mask we put on to be something that we're not really genuinely. Okay, and so then here then is a guy that's just talking right to similar parallels into life that you don't have the courage to say, but I'm saying them and articulating them in some certain amount of ways, like with my friend's example, like, it really becomes something. Am I ready? Is God telling me to have 12 friends? I'm not saying, but that's my hope, why I can comfortably say preach to what I just got done doing here, to telling my stories that, what I really do, it's like if I had Michael Jordan level marketing, I would have very clear, like, because when I listen, why did I do an hour? Sometimes I wonder, because the daily bread takes like 5 minutes and we're done. But how does it work into life to be able to make a beta rock message a part of daily life? Well, how I do it with sermons is I push download and I run. And then I listen to them again and again and whatever. But I can crank out at least an hour, 2 hours a day between all different sources of devotional type things. So I'd like to be in that club, Plus, you got to have YouTube and you got to pay like $12.99 a month. But it's how it works for me. And I think people can do this. I don't think it's too much to ask. I don't know, but I mean, that's where this really, it's not like I expect you to sit at your computer and watch this. And then you should go run, because that's one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. So it's how it works. It's what I'm seeing. But then, because that's good, then you're just listening and you're getting into the stories. I mean, I like to watch movies 5 and 10 and 20 times, because it takes that long to just let a message bathe into, meditate on, think over, prayful about. So it's not just to listen to this once, it's to listen to it 3 and 5 and 10 times, to put it in your downloads and just let it play. Let it play, because you'll learn things each time you listen. Eventually you can kind of get the whole thing memorized and you can stop. I mean, I don't listen. Some of them I try. I mean, yeah, that's what I do. So it works. It works for me, and I believe it can work for you. But then some of that, when now that I've done it, that you can understand. So then when you listen to it again, you can think about, okay, well, that made sense, and to think more. That's where I'm prayerful that God can put those paths, and when he's breathing into this, that it really can minister. And then at the end of the day, you think, yeah, I'm ready now to do this. I'm ready to do this. I want to do it. I'm in. I want to take a step of lordship and a full surrender. And then that means I go to Beta Rock Church, because he's the only one on the whole planet that's doing it right. Okay? That's a truth. But that's not, I don't want the members. I want the members, but I want you to get it right with God so you don't go to hell, because I'm nice. So are you ready to do that? Email me, bader@betarock.com. God, help Beta Rock to get me some members. Thank you for making this a reasonably entertaining hour. Okay. Are you ready to take a step of lordship and a full surrender? All to Jesus I surrender. All to him I freely give. Lord, bring about people to that point. Have them email me. Have them do the Amazon downloads. Not Amazon, YouTube downloads. Get them thinking. Get some people going here. Who's going to be the first? Make that happen. In Jesus' name. Amen.